So we start in the Mishnah on Daf Kuf Chav Beis, Nachri. This is one more Mishnah that's going to discuss, actually, one second, I'm off, Kuf Chav Aleph. Kuf Chav Aleph, it's Nachri, also Nachri. Kuf Chav Beis is the Mishnah of Nachri, and Kuf Chav Aleph is the Mishnah of Nachri. This is the last Mishnah that discusses the halacha of what happens when a person has a fire that broke out in his house. Nachri Shabal Lachabis. So if you have a fire chas v'shalom in your house on Shabbos and a guy wants to come and extinguish the flames, ein oimrim loy kabe. You're not allowed to tell him to extinguish the flames. And va'al techabe. You don't have to either tell him, don't extinguish the flames. You don't have to stop him. You're not allowed to tell him the fetish to do it for you, as Rashi here brings. Rabbanan gozer al amira lenachri mishum shvus. Right, we'll learn about this by Riches Yetz Hashem, then later in the Gemara, that you're not allowed to tell a guy to do a malacha for you. And even if there's a fire, but you also don't have to stop him. Here, Chachamim were mekel, you don't have to, if he goes, you don't have to tell him al techabe. The guy is doing a malacha on his own, it's his resting on Shabbos does not lie upon us. You're not allowed him to do it. If you have a child that is coming to extinguish the flames, you're not allowed to listen to him to do this. You have to stop the child from putting out the flames. The child he has to rest on Shabbos, and that's the responsibility of his father to make sure he rests on Shabbos. You're not allowed to allow him to put out the flames. Gemara is going to explain this, we'll see. Zok to Gemara, Omer Rabami. Rabami said as follows, when there's a fire, they allowed a person to say to a guy, whoever extinguishes the flames will not lose out of this. In other words, you're hinting to him that he's going to get paid for what he's doing.
Is this the source of dealing with Mir Lakum?
Not really. This is only going to get to a fire, but you do see some things over here from the Gemara. This is not the main sugya about this now. You tell a guy, if you put out the flames, you're not going to lose anything. You're not telling him directly to extinguish the flames, but he understands. Should we say that we can see what he said from our Mishnah? Because what did it say in the Mishnah? We don't tell the guy to extinguish the flames, and we don't have to tell him not to extinguish the flames. In other words, we don't have to protest. So the Gemara's medayik from the Mishnah as follows. The guy is resting the Shabbos is not upon us. So now the diak here is kabe hu deloy amrinon. You do not have the permission to tell the guy to go and extinguish the flames directly, clearly. But if you tell him that if you extinguish the flames, you won't lose out of this, that you are allowed to tell him. As is mashma the Mishnah. But aim is safe. What does it say afterwards in the Mishnah? You don't have to protest against him when he's putting out the flames. So what?
Not you don't have to. You're not allowed to, right?
No. Again, you don't have to protest and tell him that he shouldn't put out the fire. If he comes to put out the fire, you don't have to be meiche. You don't have to tell him don't put out the fire. So what's mashma from this? It's mashma from this that you're not allowed to tell him that if you put out the flames, you're not going to lose out of this. So as Rashi explains, if you're allowed to tell him that, if you're allowed to hint to him that if you put out the flames, then you're not going to lose out of this. So obviously, you don't have to protest. If the Mishnah is saying you don't have to protest, it means you're not allowed to hint to him that he should put out the flames. So here it comes out that from the two parts of what it says in the Mishnah, it's contradicting each other. This, what Rab Ami here said, that you could tell him you won't lose, you can't see clearly from the Mishnah if this is allowed or not. So Ella, the Gemara concludes, you can't prove from the Mishnah one way or another. The Mishnah is inconclusive. But halacha b'payil, we paskin like what Rab Ami said, that you're allowed to tell a guy, if there's a fire, you're allowed to tell a guy to come, not to come and put out the fire, but you're allowed to tell him, kol ha'machabe ein mafsid. Derech Agav in Shulchan Aruch, the Ramah says this, and the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch brings this as well, that bisman hazeh, when there's a fire and the fire could spread, and the goyim will be affected by it also, and so it could cause big problems. So you're allowed to call the fire department to put out the fire, so that it shouldn't spread and cause the problems. But you have to look in the Shulchan Aruch to see exactly how the Alter Rebbe describes it if it applies today. Because then, when the way the shtetlich were built, and the way the homes were built, and the way the fire spread, and he says that it's going to be mamash a danger, that the goyim will be angry at the Yidden, that they didn't put out the fire, they're putting themselves into danger, not because there's somebody left in the fire, that chas v'shalom is getting burnt. In a matzav where there's a fire in a house, and there's a sakana of somebody getting burnt, pashut, you're allowed to call the fire department or even put out the fire yourself. But in a case where there's no sakana, the Ramah says there's a sakana mitzad the goyim. I'm not sure if the way it's described there, if it mamish applies, something like that, yeah.
Call even
beyond
the shvus.
Mamish, you're allowed to tell her directly befedish to put out the fire, but I'm not sure if the way it's described there is applies mamish b'zman hazeh.
Oh, this neighbor's goyim, pashtus.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Okay, I'm just telling you that even though in Gemara this concept is not brought up, the Ramah says that b'zman hazeh could be different.
Oh, there's neighbors who are sleeping, then for sure there's.
Yeah, okay, then that's mamish.
You're thinking Crown Heights, but you go to Monsey where every house is, has its own.
Right, so you have to know how it applies.
Yeah.
Sagt der Gemara weiter, Tanur Rabbanan, there was a following story. Ma'aseh v'nafla dleika b'chatzeiroi shel Yosef ben Simoi b'shichen. So an individual, Yosef ben Simoi, there was a fire he had in his courtyard on Shabbos, he was living in Shichen. Ubao anshe gistere shel Tzipairi, and the anshe gistere, which is basically the fire department from Tzipairi, came l'chabos, to extinguish the flames. Mipnei shapetrupes shel melech haya. This Yosef ben Simoi was an administrator by the king. So they came to put out the fire. V'lo yinichan, and he didn't allow them mipnei koved ha-Shabbos. For the koved of Shabbos, he didn't want them to do this. V'nasa le'nes, a miracle happened. V'yardu gshamim, and it began raining. V'kibu, and it extinguished the flames. Le'erev, after Shabbos, shigel l'chol echad man, he sent each one of them shtei slon, each one of them 2 slon for their tirche that they came to put out his flames. And to the fire chief, Chamishim, he sent them 50 slon for what he came to do. When the Chachamim heard about this, that he didn't allow them to extinguish the fire, Amru, they said, it wasn't necessary for him to be so machmer. We learned here in the Mishnah, Nochri, Shabalachabais, a guy that comes to put out your fire. We don't tell him to put out the flames, but you also don't have to protest that he shouldn't put out the flames. So it wasn't necessary for him to do this, but no, it looks like we were going to Fnim Shtur Sadin, and the Eibishter made the nest for him, that it began raining. Sagt die Gemara weiter, it said in the Mishnah, Aval kotten shabala chabes ein shemim loi, mipnei sheshvisosei alein. A child that comes to put out the flames, we don't allow him to do this because it is our responsibility to make sure that he keeps Shabbos. Shamit mina. So from here, l'chayre, you could see a general thing, a general point, benigeh tar kotten. Kotten eichel nevelis. If you have a child that's doing an aveda, for example, he's eating nevelis, he's eating not kosher food, bezdin mitzuven olav la frishay. It's our responsibility to make sure that he does not eat nevelis. Now this is a whole discussion, it's a whole machlokes in the Gemara, it's a sugi in Yevamis, and it's a ganze machlokes about it. L'chayre, based on our Mishnah, we have a clear Mishnah that's saying that you're not allowed to have a child do a malacha on Shabbos, you're not allowed to have a child do any isser, and if yes, you have to stop him. Rabbi Yochanan says, no, our mission is not a raya. Because here, the child is doing it for his father's sake. In a case where the child knows that he's putting out the fire because he wants to save the possessions that belongs to his father, so then he's doing it issa for his father's sake, then you have to stop him. But if a child is eating the velis for himself, for his own anah, maybe you don't have to stop him. That's a separate thing. 1 second, let me just mention, Taisus over here says, what kind of child are we talking about? We're talking about a child that's lo higia lechinuch. If it's a child that's already at the age of chinuch, then it would be a davar apashat, that it's your responsibility to be mechanechim and not allow him to do this. But we're talking about a child shelo higia lechinuch, and here's a discussion whether you have to separate him from the isser or not. Okay?
What about this thing of a child under the age of 3 putting like backpack on him on Shabbos?
That's a different story. There's a tatum for that. There is a heter for that. For a different reason. It's a different story. It's not connected to this.
So we're talking about over the age of 3, but under the age of 6 in this case. Correct.
But the union of carrying on Shabbos, there's a different reason for that heter. It's not connected to this.
Okay.
The chvasa gabi nachri frek the Gemara. So now you're saying that the reason why the child, you're not allowed to have him put out the fire for you because he's doing it for his father's sake. So it's the same thing by a guy, the ka'avad l'daita di Yisrael. If he's doing it for the sake of the Yid, mishari, would it be allowed to have the guy do it for your sake? If a guy is doing it for your sake, we know that's the shvus, that's the amir l'nochri. You're not allowed to have a guy do something for your purpose, mamish. So how is the Mishnah saying that by a guy you could have him put out the fire for you? And for the Gemara, no, it's different. Nochri l'daita denavshei ovid. A guy is doing it for his own sake. When he's putting out the fire, he's thinking that he's going to get something out of this. Why is he coming to help you put out your fire? He's thinking that he's going to gain something out of this. You'll pay him, we'll get something from it, and therefore he's putting out the fire. So therefore, it's not like a child. A child is doing it for his father's sake, and therefore it's not allowed. Sagt the Mishnah, Koifen Kaire al Gabi Aner. If you have a lamp that's burning and you're afraid that it's going to get out of control and something's going to get on fire, so you're allowed to put a keli. Rashi says an earthenware keli on it. Bishvil shaleitechas b'kaire. So the ceiling shouldn't catch on fire. Or another case, val tzoya shel cotton. If you have the tzoya, the waste of a cotton, you're allowed to cover it on Shabbos as well. Val akrov, or you're also allowed to sort of cover a scorpion, shalei tishach, shouldn't come to bite you. Omer Rav Yehuda said, Maise bal ifnei Rav Yechanan ben Zakkai. There was a story that happened by Rav Yechanan ben Zakkai. Be'erev, it's the name of a place, Rashi says, but maybe it's read Ba'arev, I remember now. And the name of a place just happened, that there was a scorpion and they covered it. V'amar, and he said, Cheshashani le mechatos. I'm afraid doing this, covering a scorpion on Shabbos, it could be a isachatos. So Rashi explains, what do you mean a isachatos? A scorpion. A sakana is going to come and bite you. So Rashi explains, it wasn't talking about a case of an akra, of a scorpion that was chasing you and biting you, to bite you. In such a case, sakanas nefashis, you're allowed to cover it with a keli. It's talking about there's a scorpion there and you're afraid of it. It's going to bite you. It's not going to bite you. It's not running after you. So the question is, if you cover it, so Rabbi Yechanan ben Zakkai held, yes, your life wasn't in danger, it could be that it's a sachatas.
What's the issa by tzayis cotton?
Oh, so Rashi explains, I was going to say, regarding covering the ner, or covering the tzayis cotton, so we learned this before, the Gemara discusses the union of muktzeh. One of the aspects of muktzeh is, I'm not allowed to move a davar hanittal, even something that's not muktzeh, if I'm only moving it for the sake of something that is muktzeh. So the lamp or the tzayis cotton, which is muktzeh, I'm not allowed to move something to cover it for the sake of something which is muktzeh. So over here, the Mishnah is saying that it's allowed, as we'll see in the Gemara.
By the nair, could it extinguish?
The what? The what?
Air. By the nair, it could extinguish if there's no air going in.
So we're not talking about a case where it's going to extinguish it. You're sort of going to block it. You're going to block it. You're going to allow the oxygen to go in, but you're going to block it. It actually says that the Mishnah, Rashi here clearly says that it's cheres, it's an earthenware keli, because if it was a metal keli, it gets heated up, and that's not allowed. So you use it like a tailed of mavashal, or maybe even havara actually. It could get red hot. It's like but it's an earthenware keli. So, sagt the Gemara, Rav Yehuda, Rav Yirmiyah ba'Abba, Rav Chanan ba'Rava. So there were three Amiraim, Iklu'u levbei Oven de min Neshikia. They all three came to visit Oven in the city Neshikia. Rav Yehuda v'Rav Yirmiyah ba'Abba. So for Rav Yehuda and Rav Yirmiyah ba'Abba, Aisalahu puraisa. He brought them a couch to sit on. Rav Chanan ba'Rava lo yaisile. Rav Chanan ba'Rava, he didn't give him that honor. He didn't bring him a couch to sit on, and he had to sit on the floor, as Rashi said. In other words, Oven did not give him the same honor, as he held that he wasn't on the same level as the other two, and he let him sit on the floor. Ashkachte masni leile brei. So Chanan ba'Rava found this Oven. He overheard him teaching this Mishnah that we just learned to his son. And how did he teach this Mishnah to his son? He said as follows: Val tzoya shel cotton. If you have the waist, the tzoya of a cotton, mipnei cotton, you're allowed to cover it in order that a child shouldn't get dirty, to separate it, that a child shouldn't get dirty. That's how he tied the pshat in the Mishnah. Amalei. So now he says to him, Oven shatya, this Oven that teaches his child the pshat in the Mishnah this way is a fool, and masnisin, and therefore masni shtuse libnei. He teaches foolish things to his child. It's not the correct pshat in the Mishnah. He said, what did he add over here? In the Mishnah, when it said tzoya, it didn't say what kind of tzoya we're talking about. It said val tzoya. Actually, it said in the Mishnah val tzoya shel cotton. Okay, so he says that that can't be the pshat in the Mishnah, and he explains why not. He atzma muchenes leklovim. The tzoya of a cotton is something that the dogs could eat. And if so, it's not considered to be muktzah. It's not muktzah. If something that a dog could eat, that's not muktzah, so then why would it not be allowed to cover this? Like I mentioned before, the whole problem here is that you're taking something for the purpose of something that's muktzah, and that's not allowed. So that would be the chiddush of the Mishnah here. But if it's something which is the tzaya of a cotton that a dog could eat, so then it's pashut, it's not muktzah b'chlal. Now, maybe there would be, it still is muktzah, even though a dog could eat this, but it's still muktzah. Why? Because if this is something that came out of the cotton's body today, and it wasn't here yesterday, so it's muktzah for that reason. Right? We know the basic concept of muktzah and neilat, something that comes into being on Shabbos, that's muktzah. Tanya says the Gemara, no, it's not true. Very interesting thing the Gemara says, because it says in the Braisa, Nahares HaMoishchen, rivers that are flowing, Mayanis HaNoivim, springs that are flowing, Harehein Keragle Kol Adam, you're allowed to carry them and take them anywhere you want as far as Shabbos, as far as the Tchum Shabbos. The halacha on the Tchum of Shabbos is, just like Benegeh to a human being, he's not allowed to walk more than 2,000 amas out of the Tchum of where he rested when Shabbos came in. The same is also regarding any item. The place where something was when Shabbos arrived, you're not allowed to take it any further from 2,000 amas where it was. But when you get to waters that are flowing, that doesn't apply. Waters that are flowing, since it's l'chatchila expected, it's flowing in that direction, it's constantly flowing, so waters that are flowing, even though it came from somewhere else and it arrived here on Shabbos, it was l'chatchila expected to come there, so you're allowed to take it even if it's l'chayda going more than 2,000 amas from where this water was when Shabbos began. So the Gemara is comparing this and saying that the same thing also applies when you get to a person, when you get to this cotton, that the tzaya now, even though the tzaya only came out of his body on Shabbos, but it was there before Shabbos and it was expected to come out. So therefore that's not called nailad. Azay zok the Gemara. Very interesting. I mean, there's the famous shaila on this. There's the shaila on this when you get to what it says in the beginning of Masechta Beitza. Everybody knows the din of Beitza Shanel de B'yantiv. The Beitza Shanel de B'yantiv is considered that's the case of nailad. What's the difference with the tzaya of a child? It's not considered to be nailad. So the Rishonim say that a beitza, before the chicken lays the egg, the beitza is considered to be part of the guf of the chicken itself, mamish. It's considered to be a chelik of the guf of the chicken, and the chicken itself is muktzah on Shabbos. Mashenkin, a cotton is not muktzah on Shabbos. The person is not muktzah on Shabbos. So therefore the tzaya that comes out of the body of the cotton, and it's expected to come out, is not considered to be muktzah. Okay? Okay. So the shaila of the Gemara is, this was the question that Chonan bar Rava asked Ovin, how you learn pshat in the Mishnah this way? It's not b'chlal not muktzah. So the Ella heichi esne. So how do you learn pshat in the Mishnah? Eime, the way you have to read the Mishnah is al tzaya shel tarnagaylim. We're talking about the tzaya that came from chickens. So that is something that's muktzah. Mipnei cotton, and that here the chiddush of our Mishnah is that the chachamu were mat to the muktzah, they allowed you to move and cover it. Mipnei cotton, that a cotton shouldn't get dirty with this. That's the pshat in the Mishnah, but not the tzay of a cotton. That's the chatchila, not shaykh to muktzah b'chlal. Fragt the Gemara, now if so, v'teipik lei to have a graf shel rei. Why would this not be part of the halacha that there is by a graf shel rei? There's a halacha on Shabbos that when it comes to a graf shel rei, when you have a pile of something which is rei, which is dirt, which is waste, you're allowed to take it out. You're allowed to take it out on Shabbos. It's not muktzah. Chachamim relax the issur of muktzah b'negeh to mamish something which is rei, which is waste, that you're allowed to take it out. So over here as well, you should be allowed to even move it, take it out. Sagt the Gemara, v'chi teime graf shel rei agav monem in iu gufeloi. Maybe this whole halacha that when you have a vessel that's full of waste, you're allowed to remove it from the house on Shabbos, that's only because it's in a vessel. Since the vessel is not muktzah, and that you're allowed to move, so you're allowed to move the waste together with it. But the waste itself, that you're not allowed to touch. And that's the chiddush of our Mishnah, that you can cover it. But it's not true. There was a mouse, the shtakech bispimarki de Ravashi, that was found amongst the spices in Ravashi's kitchen. What did Ravashi say? What could they do with this mouse? Which is like a graf shel rei. It's something that's very despicable amongst food. So he told them, Nekutu b'tzutzisei, grab it by its tail, va'avkua ba'ashpa, and take it out to take it out of the house. So you see that you're allowed to grab this mouse itself and take it out. If it's something that's despicable, disgusting amongst the spices. So the same thing should also apply to any graf shel rei, any waste, that you're allowed to take it out. Not only if it's inside a vessel. Answers the Gemara ba'ashpa. What we're talking about over here is that this tsoya of the Tarnagoyim is in the garbage. It's not in your house. There's no heter for you to take it out because it's not in the middle of the house. In the middle of the house, Chacham will matter to take it out, but it's in the garbage. Fragt the Gemara, it's in the garbage already. Cotton ba'ashpa my boile. What's the cotton doing in the garbage? Why would Chacham allow you to cover it with a keli because you don't want a cotton to get dirty? Why are you concerned that the cotton is going to be in the garbage? Answers the Gemara, b'chotzer. No, it's really in the courtyard. It's not mamish in the garbage, it's in the courtyard. Fragt the Gemara, in the courtyard, chotzer nami grav shoreyu. In the courtyard, this halacha that you're allowed to remove the waste on Shabbos and it's not muktzah is also applies there. It's not only in your house, it's in your courtyard as well. So the question remains, why can't you remove it itself? And for the Gemara, ba'ashpa sheb'chotzer. There's a ashpa, there's garbage, there's a pile of garbage in your chotzer. A chotzer is a place that a cotton is there, but it's still in the garbage, and therefore the heter that usually applies to a graf shel rei, that you're allowed to take it out directly and put it in the garbage, doesn't apply, because it's already in a pile of garbage. But still, it's a place that the cotton runs around, and therefore the chiddush over here is that you're allowed to cover it on Shabbos. That's the pshat in the Mishnah. So the maskan is, we're not talking about, at least according to Oven, we're not, Chonin Barava, the way he said the pshat to Oven, that we're not talking about a tzay of a cotton, we're talking about a tzay of a tarnagal. The next thing in the Mishnah was, Val akrav shaloi tishach. You're allowed to cover a scorpion that it shouldn't come to bite you. So the Gemara is going to talk about all kinds of cases of things that could bite a person. What's the halacha on Shabbos? Are you allowed to capture them on Shabbos? Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said, Kol amazikin, anything that could be harmful to a person, neherogim b'Shabbos. You're allowed to kill them on Shabbos. So as Rashi explains, at this point, the Gemara thinks that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi was not talking about a case where something is chasing you and it's your life is in danger. We're talking about something that potentially could bite you. It could be a danger. Even if it's not right now a danger, it's just there, you're allowed to kill it on Shabbos. And what would be the reason why you're allowed to kill it on Shabbos? So this would be based on the fact that this is a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa. When you are killing it, you don't need the animal itself or the thing itself, the creature itself that you're killing. You're just doing it to save your life. So this follows the opinion of Rab Shimon. And there, since according to Rab Shimon, it's a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa, so it's only asam b'drabanan. So since it could potentially be harmful to you, so therefore they relaxed that and they allowed you to kill it on Shabbos. Most of Rav Yosef asked Rav Yosef from a brayso where it says Chamisha neragim b'Shabbos. There are only 5 kinds of creatures that you're allowed to kill on Shabbos. Ve'elu hein zvuf sheberetz Mitzrayim. There's a kind of dangerous fly in Mitzrayim. Tzira shebeninvei, a wasp of the city Ninveh. Akrav shebechadayav, a scorpion of the city Chadayav. A nachash sheberetz Yisrael, the snake in Eretz Yisrael. V'kelev sheite b'chol makim, and a mad dog anywhere in the world. So what do you see over here? That he only enumerates these 5. So Mani, who is this Braisa going according to? Ileim Rabbi Yehuda, is it following the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda? Ha'amar, malacha she'ein tzricha legufa chayev aleh. Rabbi Yehuda says, even when you do a malacha and it's not for the purpose of the malacha, it's asam min atayra. So in this Braisa, it's not talking about where any of these things are chasing you and it's going to kill you, where your life is not in sakana. So there's no reason that Rabbi Yehuda would say that this is allowed. This is mamash malacha min atayra. El Olav, Rab Shimon. We're going to have to say that this Braisa follows the opinion of Rab Shimon that says that a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa is not asam min atayra, and therefore he allowed you to kill in these cases when these 5 things that are specifically harmful for a person, he allowed, even if they're not chasing you, because it's only something which is asam d'Rabbanan. So what do you see from here? Only these are allowed. These are considered. This is the list of what's considered to be very harmful to a person, but not others. So how did Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi say that a person can kill any mazikin? Rabbi Yirmiyah says, "Uman neimalon dohametaretztehi." How do we know that this brayse is accepted? That it's the pshat in the brayse, what it says here is true. Perhaps this is a brayse that what it says here is a mistake. As we know that there were certain brayses that were not accepted. There are those brayses that were written by Rab Chia and Rav Aishia that were accepted by everybody, and those are reliable brayses. But apparently this brayse was not one of those, and therefore he was questioning b'chlal the validity of this brayse. Rav Yosef, so Rav Yosef said, no, you don't have to say it's a mistake. Ana masnina lo, I'm the one that taught this brayse, va'isivna lo, and I'm the one that asked the question on Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi from this brayse. Va'ana metaritzna lo, I'll explain why this brayse is not as stated to what Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said. Why? Beratzu achrav. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi that said that you're allowed to kill anything that's running after you. Again, you're allowed to kill all mazikin. That's if it's running after you. If it's chasing you, and so then it could be mazik you, then he said there's no limitations. Because according to Rab Shimon, it's a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa, you're allowed to kill anything. V'divrei hakol, and that's according to everybody. Huh?
Not according to Rabbi Yehuda.
Again?
According to Rabbi Yehuda,
V'divrei hakol, yeah. And
if it's running after you, then it's not malacha. It's a mamash pekuach.
Right. Okay. When it's running after you, I'm not sure if it's dafkin a matzav of pekuach nefesh. It says kol mazikin erogim b'Shabbos. Okay, could be it's a case of pekuach nefesh. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, Rashi says clearly. Sorry, again, Rashi says clearly it's pekuach nefesh. When Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said that them all mazikin, without any difference, you're allowed to kill, it's because it's chasing you and it's mamish pekuach nefesh. So then even Rabbi Yehuda will agree. And when it said in this brayse that only 5 you're allowed to kill and not others, over there it's talking about when they're not chasing you. And over there it's a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa, and it's only going according to Rab Shimon. Rab Shimon was mekel. That's the difference between what Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said and the brayse said. So there's no question here.
These were the only 5 things that are mazikin, that are dangerous.
In that time period, in that, yeah.
They're not chasing you.
Huh?
Meaning if they're not chasing
Yeah,
you,
they're not chasing you. Tani Tanaka made it over Baravone or Rabbe Baravone. He said, "Ha'hoirig nechoshen v'akrabim b'Shabbos." A person that kills a snake or a scorpion on Shabbos, ein ruach chsidim noiche heimeno. The chsidim are not happy of what the person did. So we're not talking over about obviously we're not talking about a case where the person's life is in danger, that it's chasing you. But stam, there's a snake and a scorpion that's present, and you're very afraid of it, and you killed it on Shabbos. The chsidim are not happy about this. On Malay. So Rabbi Baravona, when he heard this, he said, "V'oisan chsidim," and these chsidim that are not happy about this, ein ruach chachamim noiche mehem. The chachamim are not happy with these chsidim because it's allowed. If something is there and your life could be in danger, it is allowed. So he's basically following what it said before, that, like we said, according to Rab Shimon, it's a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa, and therefore it's not asam and not teire, so it is allowed. Pliege the Rav Huna. But what Rabbi Bar Rav Huna said argues on what Rav Huna held. The Rav Huna chazila hu gavre de kakotl zibura. He saw a person that was killing a zibura, which is what? What's a zibura? I forgot already. Zibura is some kind of a thing that could harm the person. And Amalei, it's zibura, some kind of a wasp or a fly. Amalei shalim tinu lekulu. By killing this one fly over here, this one wasp that could harm you, you finished all the flies. You're going to kill one. There'll be another one that will come. You're not accomplishing anything. In other words, what he was saying was, look, if this fly or if this wasp right now is chasing you and your life is in danger, you say that you're allowed to kill it. But if it's just there and your life is not in danger, it's not chasing you, by killing one, you're not accomplishing anything. You didn't save yourself from anything, so it's not allowed to be done on Shabbos.
There's a shayla about the mosquitoes when they were carrying a certain virus.
Right. So according to our Gemara, there could be a heta for this, but it's not so pashut. I was looking in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch last night. It's not so pashut to be mated. The Alter Rebbe over there says that you should be machmer. Yeah, you should not kill him. You should not kill a mosquito on Shabbos. Alter Rebbe talks about a parush. Well, if you have a case of a person that's mamish allergic of a bee bite and things like that, where his life could be in sakana on Shabbos, then l'chayda would be allowed, according to what it says here. But in a case where you're not sure, the Alter Rebbe says you should be machmer. Tana Rabbanon, we learned in a brayse, nizdam nuloi nechoshen va'akraven. That there were snakes and scorpions that nizdam nuloi. That, in other words, they were in his vicinity, and the Eibishter gave him the opportunity to be able to kill a snake or a scorpion. Hargon, so he killed them. B'yedua, it should be known to him. Shenizdamnu loy lahargon. They came in his vicinity because the Eibishter wanted him to kill them. Loy hargon, if a snake and a scorpion are in his vicinity and he did not kill them, and he also got saved, they didn't harm him, b'yedua, it should be known to the person, shenizdamnu lahargoi, they were there in his vicinity because they wanted to kill him, v'nasale nesman hashemayim, and the Eibishter made a nest and he got saved. Okay, so the person should realize that the nest that the Eibishter did for him.
It has nothing to do with Shabbos.
No, on any day. This is only talking about when they came close enough. There's different pshatim of what nishufim by mean. Nishufim by means that they were hissing. You see that they were trying to kill him. That's not stam, they were passing by. Passing by, then it's not a simon that they were trying to kill him. Nishufim by means they were making these noises that they were coming to kill him. Or others say nishufim by means they mamish came up close to him, they were touching him, they were rubbing on him. Then it's a simon that Eibusha saved his life. Omer Rab Abba bar Kahana. Pa machas nofal echad bebeis hamedrash. Once there was a snake or a scorpion that came into the beis medrash and was on Shabbos. V'omad nifsi echad. There was a nifsi, and this was a yid, but he came from a place that was called Nifsi. And v'harigoy, and he killed the snake. Omar Rebbe. So Rebbe said, Paga boy kayetza boy. The one that killed it is like the snake himself. Okay. This is what he said. That was his comment. Now, they didn't understand exactly what he meant to say by his comment. So the question was asked, Paga by Kayetza by the shapir of it. Was he trying to say that sometimes you have to have a vicious person to go and kill a snake? And over here, in this case, he was the right person in the right time to go and kill the snake on Shabbos, and it was allowed. Even though, again, we're talking about a snake that was just found in the shul. It wasn't a snake that was attacking anybody. So this goes back to the discussion we were having before. When you have a snake in the vicinity and it's not attacking anybody, or you're allowed to kill it. So is the pshat, paga b'kayetzabai, and the shapir of it, he did what's right. Or perhaps not. He was trying to say that he was trying to say that this person is like a snake because he made a mistake. Tashama. So the Gemara brings a raya from the following incident. Rab Abba bereid Rab Chia bar Abba. V'Rab Zeira, these two Amiroim, Yosvu Akilo de Be Rab Yanai. They were sitting on the porch of Rab Yanai. Nafik Milsabim Benayu. So this subject came up that they were discussing. And boy Rab Yanai, and they asked a question for Rab Yanai. This shaila here that we're discussing. Mao Larek Nechoshim Vakrabim B'Shabbos. Are you allowed to kill snakes or scorpions on Shabbos even when it's not attacking you? Amalahu. So Rab Yanai answered them, Tzira ani Eirik. I would kill even a wasp on Shabbos. Nachash va'akrav leikol shekain. So a snake and a scorpion. So from here we could see if Rabbi Yanai said that a wasp he would kill on Shabbos, and for sure a snake and a scorpion you can kill on Shabbos. So what's the Gemara proving from this conversation? That when Rab Abba bar Kahana said about this individual that killed a snake in the shul, Paga b'kayetz, he meant it in the positive. He was allowed to kill him on Shabbos. So the Gemara says, Loi, it's not a raya from what Rabbi Yanai said. Why not? Again, no, it's read together. Again, let them read the Gemara again. So he said, Tzirani hayrig, nachash va'akrav, loi kol shekain. Most definitely you're allowed to kill a snake and a scorpion if you're allowed to kill a wasp. So the Gemara says it's not a raya. Why not? Dilme lifi tumai. Maybe what Rabbi Yanai meant to say is, not that he intentionally kills a wasp. When he's walking and there's a wasp that's crawling on the ground, or there's a wasp that's there, and without even thinking, he tramples over it. So that's what he meant to say. In such a way, you're allowed to kill a wasp without even intending to do it. The same thing goes if a person is walking and he happens to step on a snake, he happens to step on a scorpion. So in such a way, it would be allowed. But in a case where a person is intentionally doing it, it wouldn't be allowed. Dom Rav Yehuda said a similar thing. Roik, if there's spittle on the ground. And a person's walking. A person doesn't have to look every step where he's going, that he shouldn't step on it. He's allowed to step on it on Shabbos. Even though, what's the problem stepping on spit in those times? So we know there's the problem of ashvuye gumais, smoothing out the floor. So if there's spittle on Shabbos and a person is smoothing out the floor through this, but if he's not even thinking of doing that, b'chlal, and it just happens, so then it's allowed to be done on Shabbos. Rav Sheshes said a similar thing on Nachash. If there's a snake crawling on the floor and you don't even see it at all, the person could be walking on his way and it just happens automatically that he steps on the snake. He doesn't have to pay attention to this. Rav Katina said, Akrav, a scorpion, you're allowed to step on it just lefitumay, and even if the person doesn't realize. So therefore over here, it could be that this is what Rabbi Yanai meant. Right, so as it's explained over here, that lefi tumai, right? It's a machlekes about this, but in this inyan of lefi tumai, even according to Rabbi Yehuda, that holds that a malacha shein tzricha legufa would be chayev, but in such a case, when a person is b'chlal not intending to do what he's doing, that wouldn't be a problem at all. It's not, the whole Isser of Shabbos is when a person does an action of a malacha intentionally. He's doing an action intentionally. He sees there's something here and he directly, intentionally steps on it. But if a person is just walking on his way and there's worms below his feet or there's ants that he's stepping on, whatever it is, and he's killing an ant, that's not something a person has to be concerned about. Al derech zeh you have the halacha b'negeh to when you walk in the street and there's a person that has an automatic sensor that the light goes on and off. Person doesn't have to be concerned about that. He's walking to where he's going. He's not b'chlal thinking of this sensor, this light that goes on and off. So this is the kula alma that this would be allowed.
So davar she'eino miskaven?
It's less than davar she'eino miskaven. That's the point. It's not even considered to be a melecha. It's not an intended action. Melacha she'eino miskaven or melacha she'ein tzricha legufa is when you're intending to do this action. Elamai, you're not having the kavanah for the melacha. You're doing it for a different purpose. But over here, the person is not intending to kill the ant under his feet. He's not walking. Abba bar Marta. Abba, the son of Marta, to who Abba bar Minyaimi. So his mother's name was Marta and his father's name was Minyaimi. Have a masik, the Bey Reish Galusa Zuzi. He owed the Reish Galusa money. ICU, they brought him in, basically put him into prison and kamitzarele. And they were causing him pain. Have a shaderuka, there was a spittle there on the floor where he was in prison. Amalahu Reish Galusa, so the Reish Galusa said, I simone, bring a vessel and schifu lavei, take it away from him, remove it. Amalahu, so this Abba bar Marta commented and said, it's not necessary to remove it. It was on a Shabbos, and he said, Hachi Omer Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda said, Roik dorsel lefitumai, that if there's spittle on the ground, you're allowed to step on it, and if you don't realize, you could just walk over it, and it's not a problem. So Omar Lahu Tzurbe Mirabananu. So now the Reish Galusa realized that he's a Talmud Chacham. When he made this comment, he realized that this person knows the halach and he's a Talmud Chacham. Shafku, why is he here in prison? Let him go, release him. So because he said this halacha, that was able to release him from the prison.
Interesting. The Yatsi Kimon Kamas.
Oh, exactly. Got released from the prison, that the koyach of the Rebbe that came out from Tvisa. Beautiful. Yeah.